Morning now. Breaking news from Northern California. We had a hail of bullets in the dead of night. Watch here. So this happened at a Coast Guard base near San Francisco. That's a U-Haul driver barreling towards security, ignoring several commands to stop, and officers had no decision other than to open fire on that truck. That attack, the latest example of violence against law enforcement. That's where we start on a Friday. Morning, everybody. You almost made it, America. Almost, okay? A couple hours here. Good morning, Dana.
Good morning. I'm Dana Perino, and this is America's Newsroom. It's interesting because there are people who say that this kind of violence against police officers isn't happening, and every single day we have another example, and that's a terrible one. And that shooting came after a day of mass protests in San Francisco, and the demonstrations were in response to an expected immigration crackdown. Crowds tried to block border agents from entering Coast Guard Island. Attorney General Pam Bondi says the administration will not be deterred.
They cannot impede federal officers doing their jobs. They're out there risking their lives every single day and night to keep the people of California safe. We are going to protect our men and women in blue. We're going to protect all of our law enforcement agents, and these politicians aren't going to get away with it anymore.
So what happened here? William Lajeunesse has the story in Los Angeles. That's where we begin. William, hello. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Bill. You know, this happened outside Coast Guard Base Alameda near Oakland, where demonstrators rallied against ICE. That is because the base was to become the staging area for federal agents had President Trump followed through on his threat to deploy law enforcement to the Bay Area. And what you see here is moments before the shooting. Now, it was 10 p.m. last night. The driver of the U-Haul throws the truck in reverse and at a dangerous rate of speed aims at the entry of the base where guards check ID and control access. The driver appears to be using the truck like a battering ram and not expose himself to that gunfire. After ignoring repeated calls to stop, the guards, as you see here, open fire and the truck speeds away. No reports of injuries or arrests of the driver. So earlier in the day, as you mentioned, protesters had tried to block agents from entering the base who deployed flashbangs and pepper spray to clear their way in. Now, as a sanctuary city, San Francisco has more than its share of illegal immigrants, and Bay Area immigration judges have the highest rates of granting asylum. Trump had planned to surge law enforcement there, but agreed to back off after the mayor of San Francisco told him that the city was on the rise and that, quote, having militarized immigration enforcement in our city would hinder its recovery.
This is our home. It horrifies me that ICE was going to come here and break up our community.
It's important that people feel safe in their homes. It's important that people aren't searched without warrants.
So California police are not allowed to cooperate with ICE in any way, and they were not at the demonstration last night. So no one was there, Bill, to arrest the driver. And you have to imagine if this kind of thing happens again, and there's no backup for ICE, as the Attorney General Bondi alludes to, the administration may reconsider not sending in more agents if ICE is not allowed to do its job.
Yeah, got it. Okay, William, thank you. I know you'll stay on it. That's in California. This now is west of Chicago, about 25 minutes, where we expect a new round of protests. In fact, they're already there, and this is based on the clock at 8 a.m. local time in Chicago. This is a violation of what the time frame was. You got a crowd of demonstrators already gathering. It's been the site of repeated skirmishes between the cops and rioters. This is the Illinois Democratic Governor, J.B. Pritzker, raising the possibility of further prosecutions against ICE agents. We'll share that with you here coming up. Dana?
Meanwhile, the Trump administration is firing back against the Illinois governor for ratcheting up anti-ICE rhetoric. And Peter Doocy is live at the White House. He's got the back and forth for us. Hi, Peter.
And Dana, despite everything that William was just reporting, the loudest voices against this White House's effort to deport criminal illegal aliens are just getting louder.
The thing that we're demonizing is when ICE agents aren't following protocols. They aren't acting like law enforcement should act. They're instead literally racially profiling. We've seen it. All you have to do is go online and look at some of the videos. Just to be clear, because I think many people that are listening maybe haven't seen that before. If you're an ICE agent and you do these things, we think you ought to be held accountable.
Held accountable could mean arrested. This is a live picture here, I believe, in Broadview, Illinois. The idea is that federal agents could be arrested by state officials. And if that happens, the highest levels of the Justice Department are threatening Democratic officials with charges for obstruction.
You cannot disclose the identity of a federal agent, where they live, anything that could harm them. Pritzker, same ballgame with him. And, you know, Pelosi got a letter today from Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. So did Brooke Jenkins, that DA in San Francisco. We told them, preserve your emails, preserve everything you have on this topic, because if you are telling people to arrest our ICE officers, our federal agents, you cannot do that.
The biggest concern among folks here in the West Wing of the White House remains the threats of violence against federal officials carrying out the immigration orders of the president. But there is more and more talk now about these threats to arrest these guys as well. Dana.
All right, Peter, thank you.
So on it goes. Byron York here to analyze it. Byron, good day to you. We've been talking all week about what may happen here in New York if we get a certain outcome in 2 weeks in our mayor election here. And ICE is going to be all over Manhattan and the other 4 boroughs. And we're going to take a new step into this, okay? So when Pew went out to find out how Americans feel, who's responsible, here it is on screen, guys. Number one, if you're a Republican, 3/4 of you are blaming Democrats. If you're a Democrat, 3/4 of you are blaming Republicans. So both sides see it the same way in that they blame the other side, Byron.
You know, a remarkable agreement, 85% on both sides, that political violence is increasing. And when you look, we've just seen the politically motivated assassination of Charlie Kirk, the politically motivated assassination of Brian Thompson, the United Healthcare CEO, the politically motivated shooting of President Donald Trump, and the other politically motivated assassination attempt of him, plus attacks on Governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, the murder of the former Speaker of the House in Minnesota, Melissa Hortman, plus all of this violence we're seeing in the streets now. An incredible Antifa attack on July 4th in Texas, where Antifa protesters had AR-15s, bulletproof vests, intending to kill, and the attack on ICE in Dallas, where 2 people were killed. So how can anybody not think that political violence is increasing?
And Byron, this is pretty stunning. This was from a Democratic lawmaker in Houston, Texas. Watch here.
Donald Trump has changed things, and people trying to do what's always been done is not going to work. And I think that's why Democrats are losing black people. That's why they're losing poor people, because poor people, all they want is for us to fight. So if you hit me in my face, I'm not going to punch you back in your face. I'm going to go across your neck, because we can go back and forth fighting each other's faces. You've got to hit hard enough where they won't come back.
And perhaps she's using that as a metaphor about the war of ideas, but it doesn't feel like it or sound like it, and it's hard to get past that conversation to get to the real meat of some of these disagreements.
Yeah, if you look at the Pew results, Democrats mostly blame Donald Trump for the problem. They just blame him for everything. Republicans blame increased polarization and the rhetoric we're seeing on the left, and I think you just showed a perfect example of that rhetoric. Yes, the words fight is often used in a political context. It does not mean punching somebody or knifing somebody, but it can also actually be used in a violent context. And when you see what we're seeing now, especially in the attacks on the enforcement of federal immigration law, we're seeing them all over the country. It's hard to interpret that any other way.
Byron, thanks for coming in and chiming in on that. It will not be the end of this particular conversation, I'm sure.